else to really get that W on top of you, though. But even with that, Heretics, last draft, remember that they left the Na'Vi until 3rd pick to pick up another power pick. That's not been the case in this draft. They want to have a bit more ability to respond to what BDS Academy lock in this 2nd rotation.
And this time they have the chance to lock in something like a Karma or like a Lux that usually gets banned away on the 2nd rotation from the other team when you've locked in that Caitlyn. But they're gonna prioritize what I call the last and special, either Azir or Victor. Zverev is extremely strong on Victor as well, so it's a takeaway.
We saw it in game 1, huge stats there.
And I think as well, some of these shifts up, some of these like changes in priority, the Sheo's Poppy 1st pick is a big deal because game 1, quiet, late to the play. Game 2, taken out of the game at level 1. He was at 0 CS for the first 5 minutes of the game, practically. Getting him on something that is comfortable, that can be proactive, such a big deal. And I think I am appreciating the fact that BDS have at least found some adaptations here to see whether they can find a way back into this series.
So, Heretics had a hard choice in this 3rd pick. Giving up the Wukong, you're giving up the Sejuani. They take the Sejuani, and now Blue Resort is going to have to look down at Sheo's Poppy and find an answer into that, because Blue Resort has been fantastic on the Monkey General in the first 2 games.
Yeah, and not only that, you're going to have to respect that top lane pool that's completely unpinched for Adam, whilst also having to take either away the Lux or the Karma that pair up so nicely with the Caitlyn, and something like a Karma on the hands of her Dote together with Crowny's Caitlyn will have perma-shove down the bot side of the map, which will then also unlock Sheo to play for them.
See the changes coming on through. It is Heretics' decision to focus largely towards Adam's signature picks, the Darius, the Aatrox, that Olaf off the board. Last time this final ban was, I believe, the Poppy. That's been taken this time. So I wonder whether they've got something else in the board. Maybe it is one of those support picks.
The Karma.
Yeah. Remember, Heretics still have the flex between jungle and top lane for this Sejuani. When BDS Academy are in the game, we tend to forget about that because they just always shove it in the jungle, right? But in this series, you can, or at least with Heretics here, you can maybe lock in a Renekton on 4 and say, okay, we have Renekton Sejuani topside. That's terrifying. You can still flex that Sejuani into that top lane role as well. They have options. I'm
actually not mad with the Lux ban here as well, because locking in something like a Karma enables potentially a bruiser up the top side of the map for Adam. If he wants to play something like his Olaf again, now he's going to have the shields, the speed ups, the help from that champion. So Heretics did not want to play against the Lux, but I'm thinking that Erdota might lock in something like the Karma.
Options there, and they have locked that in for priority before I finally get to catch a game of my main champion of Ori in this finals. This is a pick which in this summer has actually really struggled in this tournament, because in the group stage we saw a lot of teams play this out very aggressively, very fast paced, but we've seen the games not be about the mid-jungle TV2, not to this level. Now in this series we've seen a lot of pressure onto Rika, but typically this Ahri, even from the very great Ahri players in the LFL, typically struggle going back onto Zverev's champion pool though.
Adam does get a hold of his Gnar, and as Trouble called out, the Karma is a pretty swift look for Odote as well. So a lot of comfort here for BDS Academy, and picks they know exactly how to get the most out of. A champion that's been somewhat absent from the last couple series will not be absent any longer. Jarvan the 4th locked in.
I do not like this at all into Poppy, and no matter into Sheo's Poppy. Last time we saw a Jarvan locked in versus Sheo. I don't think the Jarvan, it evades my mind who it was, but they did not get to play League of Legends on the champion.
I believe Yike played a game of it, and it was
I think it was Yike.
Funny. It was not
and
fun.
It was big yikes.
Add an S to the end of his name, exactly.
But I can understand why they feel like they need it. When you have a Caitlyn and you have a Victor versus a Lucian and Ahri, you are outranged. You need help getting to them. And Jarvan, love it or hate it into the Poppy, is the champion that does get on top of those champions in a ideal scenario. Heretics will need one of those ideal scenarios. They found a lot of them in game 2. They had a lot of difficult team fights which they wove their way through, especially with Whiten's, Nami, and Sejuani ultimates from Ayabo really helping land those knockout punches.
And of course, the Jarvan does have follow-up. You've got the Glacial Prison, you've got the Charm, you've got the Tidal Wave. You can follow up on the Jarvan, even though, as Trouble rightly called out, Sheo has got a lot of ways to counter-punch that attempted engage. At least you have got ways to make that engage, though.
Now, my question does fall onto Sheo. He's playing his Poppy. He's absolutely massive on the champion. He has not 1, not 2, 3 priority lanes he can work with. He needs to get the ganks going. He needs to get the proactivity going. Because even though, yes, there is that element of scaling, I feel the fact that BDSA have left their entirety of their early games just go completely all the way to Heretics, they've had to always deal with comebacks.
There are a lot of moving parts here for Heretics in the early game to fire back, though. Jarvan, Ari, hyper gank pressure onto Rika. Rika in game 1 had a difficult time dealing with that. Of course, Lucian Nami can turn any trade around in that 2v2 if you give them the right time. Heretics have the tools to outplay in this early game, which, as Trouble rightly said, should be BDSA favored on the onset.
Maybe don't have the lane pressure, but do have the kill combo options. But instead of a Heretics invade, we've got a BDSA one. In they go, 4-man strong. Gonna throw down some wards, I suspect, but nothing else found for now. Ibo gets a ward down around the blue buff on the other side.
Okay, so gonna get traded jungle information. Shio actually going to be, for the first time, potentially able to get a leg up on their opponent. Blue Resort, you don't have any right to be here. Luckily not going to get punished for it, not going to walk up any further.
I actually love this move from BDSA. They know that Heretics want to play towards that bot side of the map. What do? They're trying to split the map in half. So Heretics are forced to play and clear towards that top side. But what Heretics have done is they rotated Ibo towards the bot to push BDSA out.
They're going to try and keep chasing Sheo when Odoti in danger. Flash with the Arctic Assault trying to get on out.
And that's it. You're out of the jungle. Sheo, 50% HP. Really nice hover right there. And Ibo can actually TP all the way back top.
Now, I love this. So this is tech that we saw a lot against Kalista invades, where you would say, okay, this champion is obviously going to cause problems at level 1. Actually, the first team I remember doing it was a team called Rascal Jester over in the LJL. They would see this Kalista locked in and they said, look, you're in a top lane matchup which will survive. You're not looking for lane pressure there. Bring them down for the level 1, teleport them back up. So, Heretics use that to great effect. And that means that this great early work in terms of getting early pressure, early vision down, doesn't amount to much.
And I feel it's always the creativity coming in from Heretics, right? To rotate the top lane down bot, because of what you said, they don't care about losing the matchup, it's just a tank. To get that flash off of the Poppy, which means that Flash E is no longer going to be a factor. And you've sort of dissuaded so much of the pressure that BDSA tried to throw your way in that early game. And honestly, it's so refreshing to see Heretics were looked down upon as not necessarily a favorite to make it all the way to the finals. And to adapt and develop through multiple series is just crazy.
It really is. And credit to them, that is a number of level 1s now in a row that have been so well thought out, both defensively and offensively.
And what's great about that is actually the other team from the LVP at this tournament didn't make it out of the group stage. It was Giants, who of course Heretics beat twice in their regional playoffs. They are the level 1 team in the LVP. Level 2, level 3 in this mid lane.
Now the charm into the nut flag and the drag. Rika trying to get on out of Sheo here to try and turn this one around. We'll get a heroic charge, but not into the wall. Blue Resort taken very low, has to flash on out. Both junglers now without that summoner.
Good discipline from Rika, knows the jungler's coming, knows there's no one-shot potential, so the kill pressure from the Ari Jarvan doesn't amount to much. Blue Resort wastes a flash there too.
Bot side, the lane pressure from this Karma and this Caitlyn allow an early play, and then that Mantra Q, the Soul Flare, takes Jack Spectra down to an alarmingly low amount of HP, and with Sheo around, how aggressive do they want to be?
I mean, you can play as aggressive as you want, because it's not necessarily about always killing someone when you're diving. It's about depriving them of gold and experience. And if they can do that to the Lucian and set him behind, that means they delay his very quick 1-2 item power spike, right?
Now, looking at this mid lane matchup too, speaking from great experience in this one matchup, Victor's been around for a very long time as a meta mid lane champion. When Ari was out of meta, it was largely due to champions like this, where they hit one skill shot on you, like an Orianna EQ or a Victor Laser, and suddenly you find yourself not being able to brawl with them. All it takes is one missed skill shot from yourself and then one hit from the other lane opponent. It gets very difficult. If the matchups go against you, Ari can struggle to fight back, and Sfera falling behind now.
Observers to look on the bot side of the map right now, because I'm pretty sure that is a big fat wave that's going to crash that tower.
Oh, no.
And you saw how all of this poke that comes from the Karma Caitlyn lane and the pressure sent Jack Spectra all the way to the fountain. He's going to lose every single creep from a cannon wave, and this is massive.
Now, what could have bailed out this from Heretics is if you had won the mid lane jungle 2v2 and you get to, on your level 6, come down bot lane and rectify whatever the heck this Caitlyn Karma has done to your Lucian Nami. But BDS Academy, through winning that early skirmish in that mid jungle, even though there weren't kills traded, have managed to bail out the bot side as well.
And
it's 500 gold. Sorry, Initialize. 500 gold bot lane lead. Just from pure laning 5 minutes in.
Exactly that, and I wanted to call out something you said earlier, because look, you said Sheo's going to have 3 lanes of priority. That's exactly what he's had, and he's made it work. He manages to find the counter gank in mid, and now it feels like BDSA for the first time this series are able to play out laning phase with everything going in their favor.
Yeah, and as opposed to the first 2 games, I feel like Ibo is sat there going, hey guys, I'm dealing with Adam. Adam's not got a lead. I'm surviving. What the heck is happening on bot side? That's what it feels like. Because the first 2 games were very much...
right. It's usually team.
Question mark, bang.
But in this game, it has been a bit more of a return to what we thought this series would look like. It is stronger laning from BDS Academy, controlling that early game, and while their creativity at the level 1 didn't end up amounting to all that.
Gonna keep going. Eldone flashing away. Cleanse on Crowny. Cannot quite find the kill. The renewal won't come through. Heal pop from White in to ensure Sheo can't find the counter gank.
These are the fights where Sheo had wished he had his flash up and available, because it could have ended up being a kill or forcing summoners away from a bot lane from Heretics that is already struggling.
This is, again, a bit of a follow-on effect from Heretics. Not able to really land heavy blows with the first couple of ganks with this job, and where you do have more options into something like the Poppy later into the game, can get a little bit difficult if you're not playing from a lead, and especially when you're trying to head into a lane which is already at a deficit, already down the pickaxe in terms of combat stats too, compared to just the longsword of Jack Spectra. Makes it hard for Heretics to now really deal with this pressure bot lane.
And Whiting has to stay together with Jack Spectra in lane, whilst look at on the map. If I raise the min-map right here, you will see that on the other side, Erdote has already started roaming the map. He's walking around with Sheo, and he's trying to protect / shield his jungler to try and hit back. And I think there's a lot to like a mental shift when you go into a game 3, when you are 0-2, when you are finally getting your champion, you know, Rika on something like the Victor, Sheo on his Poppy, and might I remind everyone, Adam on the champion he has a pentakill in this Amazon European Masters with. I think it's sort of a mental boost and confidence boost to get these champions, get perma-prio, and then dictate the pace of the game yourself.
Ult just used from Zvera in the mid lane as well, looking for one of these last opportunities for Ari to really take control of the matchup. Does have 1 charge left, but Rika very happily playing out this matchup. It's not like Blue Resort was there afterwards. Zvera also changed over to the Ignite with the spellbook for this play. Doesn't find anything for it. Heretics has swung and missed on a number of occasions in this early game so far.
I'm pretty sure in Sheo's books, Zvera's name is written in it, because right now, Rika is able to manipulate his own wave. He's going to stop it right in front of his tower, which means that the Ahri has to overextend. The only spell she has to get away is going to be that flash, because that ultimate is down from the trade, and Sheo could very easily just walk around that mid lane and try to find a pick.
Heretics had advantages in both the other games. They weren't massive ones, but they were 1,000 or so gold. It felt like they were able to make things happen. This time around, they are the ones down the gold, down the pressure, and kind of not connecting where it feels like they need to. And I need to see what they can do from a position of being on the back foot. Not really seeing that this series so far.
But on the other side, BDS Academy, you can never count this team out. They are such a dominant team in the ERL scene. I'll get some good trades against them, though, from Jack Spectra, but BDS Academy, we haven't seen what the entirety of what has made them so powerful in this third game.
Here we go. Cataclysm's available. Zvero has got flash, but no ultimate. Crown needs to get away. Will flash out of the Cataclysm, but leaves Dote out to dry. 1 final minion to kill before it's shoved under tower, and this Karma is being left to the Wolves, or at least to the Heretics. Flag, drag, Aqua Prism, and First Blood is traded back.
Actually, that was very, very well played right there from Erdote. To get out of the Cataclysm means you get a lot of movement around the tower. And if I'm not wrong right there, he also dodged on the charm from the Ahri, which allowed him from that extra damage, which allowed him for that Q to go out together with the Ignite. And he manages to trade 1 for 1 underneath the tower. But more importantly, Crowny gets to bank in this wave, but...
Oh, he might going back. He's dead. Nowhere to go, and he'll get on out. Blue Resort avoids that second tower shot.
Okay, and now suddenly, this is what we were worried about, because remember what we were saying very early on, saying, okay, this Jarvan and Ahri didn't manage to do that much in this mid lane, and when they come to impact this bot lane, that's not going to be as powerful. Now they suddenly find an option.
Rika's in trouble, has got a Gravity Field and a Chaos Storm, trying to trade this one out. There's a reset coming through for Blue Resort. Jack Spectra pretty damn low as well. Solo kill for Dote in the mid lane. Zvero onto the tower. Sheo flashes over the tidal wave to survive.
Wow, there is actually pressure all over the map from both of these teams, but If you're an LFL fan, if you're a BDSA fan, finally BDSA are showing signs of life. Heretics with a 4-man rotation towards that bot side of the map. Zvero gets spotted right there, so they know there's a Jarvan around as well. And Crown is gonna flash away. Erdalted, though, very importantly, he has dodged the Cataclysm and he will dodge Zvero's charm as well. Really beautiful footwork right there to try and put down the last nail on Whiting's coffin.
Yeah, so obviously there's an extension of this play where Crowny ends up going back for the wave, ends up dying, but in live, one thing that happened just before this, or during this, is Herald is taken by BDS Academy on the top side. Was put down into this bot side to get those plays onto Crowny. Crowny had actually fallen behind in gold after this series of plays. As you can see, coming out of that, it's gone back into his favor.
Gold is in BDSA's favor. Not massively, but 2,500 gold is still a significant lead at this point in the game. Partly off that Herald play, partly off managing to trade a couple kills. Unfortunately for them, well, that gold is in fact in the Karma's pocket. It's not necessarily where you want it necessarily. But it does mean that BDSA are the ones able to throw a few of those punches, which they were struggling to in the early games of those previous two. As we have been saying, Jack Spectra chunked out by an ace in a hole. People are thinking about contesting for this first dragon of the game.
Very importantly, if you look on your minimaps, Adam is making his way towards the bot side of the map to try and fight for this dragon, whilst Aibo is stranded on the top of the map, doesn't have teleport. If the fight breaks out right now, Aibo will be late for this one, even though he's also himself making his way down bot.
This is, of course, the Hextech Dragon as well. Very valuable base stats, that ability, haste, and attack speed. It's not going to be contested at the end of the day. By Heretics, happy to let this one go. I think that is for the best. Get themselves mid-priority instead and not chancing, giving a good fight over BDS Academy, who had set up their position in the river.
I love that, I love that, I love that Adam was toying with both of them the entire time. And
gets a Sejuani hold for it too.
Yeah, and he dodges both charm and Sejuani hold.
If he steals this as well, oh my days, not quite. That was a nice attempt, won't quite find it. White and Jack Spectra though, looking for the all-in on the Crown. He will use the 50 caliber net to try and get on there. Flash over the Aqua Prison, but now the turnaround's pretty huge. Erdote left out to dry, but he won't quite be washed away. Ignite goes down. Zvero coming over. Sheo is there. Gonna try to turn around. It's a 2v2. Gonna get the knock up. Stopwatch is burned. No flash for Zero, who's gonna try and get over the wall. Heal from Jack Spectra keeps him alive, but White in is sushi in the river.
Heretics are doubling down on the aggressive plays, and they kind of have to with this draft. This is something which BDS Academy have done the entire knockout. They did it versus Vitality.Bee in the quarters, who played the aggressive mid-jungle. They failed. They did it versus Game Ward, who also went towards earlier game comps. They failed too, and even though Heretics are up 2-0 in this third game, they return back to this style, which BDS Academy have been so practiced at dealing with, and they're not finding advantages.
And again, my eyes fall onto Sheo, the fact that he's used that Poppy again. A very unfortunate level 1. This guy must be a freaking mastermind because he's had two disastrous level 1s back to back, and not only is he able to bounce back, he's 20 CS up, 700 gold, has found opportunities for his team, he's using that for deep vision, he's shadowing the right lane, he's playing towards his bot side of the map, and he's allowing BDSA to have this successful early game that we're seeing right here, almost 3,000 gold up 13 minutes in.
Game state remains BDSA's. They got the first Herald, they get the first Dragon, they've got the first turret. A lot of firsts coming their way. They'd love to be first in this tournament as well. Down 2 games though. They've got a few in a row to pick up. See whether they're quite ready to reverse their handles on that broomstick and start sweeping.
Crowny being the one forced onto again. And so I'd say stood up. Crowny not going to be forced onto this time.
Just keep your eyes on that one with Aibo, just in that alcove. There was a little bit of gaming potential there.
No flash. Let's give me the target.
In danger. Aibo is there. Lands the Glacial Prison. The teleport's coming through. Cataclysm after shut down goes into the hands of none other than Jack Spectra.
Adam teleports for this too, expecting maybe a longer fight. There is top lane presence from BDS Academy. Everyone's still alive, heading up there. It's a 4 versus 4.
But by the BDSA here can actually dive because Vero cannot join the fray. Doesn't have teleport, doesn't have his ultimate back up and available. Will be up in 7 seconds. He's also heading towards the top side of the map. But very importantly, BDSA are willing to fight back. And if anything, right here, Aibo's presence and patience gives them this skill because Crowny had the cleanse, had the flash. It wouldn't matter if Aibo hit him, but they do hit Erdote, which you mentioned was also flashless.
Reminds me a little bit of one of the most famous plays in League history, which was the G2 versus SKT kill onto Faker. They let one person go past the bush. The second one walking past is actually the target. They let Crowny go by, see the flashless Erdote, pick up the kill for that. Now, It's not going to save them, though, from losing large swathes of control in their top jungle. BDS Academy still pushing in, still grouping up, still taking from the Heretics.
5 seconds until this Herald, and both of these AD carries so important in this game. Jack Spectra's largely had the better of it, but Crownie on this Caitlyn, it's been pretty legendary for him this tournament.
And actually, if you look at the numbers right here, you'd be like, damage percentage, 24.2% for Crownie. But if you look on the other side of the map, there's Rika, there's Adam, who are doing big amounts of damage. That's why this guy doesn't have this big pop of number percentages, but both teams are looking to fight.
Maybe this is the time to make it happen. Blue Resort takes an unhealthy amount of damage, to be sure, and has to get on out of there. Zvero goes over the wall, so has 1 charge left on the Spirit Rush. Will use to get back on out.
I was wondering if there was going to be some Spellbook smite shenanigans.
Going to keep going on to Adam, who's got the Mega Gnar coming up. Will not land the Permafrost, though, so they don't commit any harder.
Brilliant. BDSA have found the champion to counter Heretics, and that champion is Poppy for Shio. Every single time they try to pull the trigger onto their engage, that Poppy shuts them down instantly. And Heretics, no matter how much they've tried, which they have been proactive, they have been aggressive in the early game, all of their attempts are being shut down. Now 20 seconds on the next Dragon, and it seems like Heretics will be first for that one play to put their vision down.
And of course, another factor of this draft as well is that you've got this Poppy which can hold up the standard for the early game, but you're outscaling in mid and bot as well. First 2 games, that was much more arguable. There was a lot more, of course, they had the one game with the Azir and the Caitlyn, but even with that, Heretics, they don't have the same kind of damage output from the Ahri compared to the Victor. The Lucian versus the Caitlyn, with the Caitlyn ahead, is also not particularly Heretics favored.
Just in time for this Dragon. Imperial Mandate was completed by Whiten, but you can see from where they are on the map, Heretics don't want to fight for this one right now. Be a second Drake over to BDSA with little contest from Heretics.
I think they're trying to scrape by here, right? They've put Zvero, all the way to the top side of the map, trying to get the Dragon, trying to push in these waves, trying to force BDSA to reply to them, trying to get a few more items, so when this Ahri Charm lands, it's actually a dangerous tool to try and kill someone. What's also dangerous tool is that Poppy, who's trying to kill Ivo.
Yeah, it's just trying to ward out the flank. Blue Resort on the flank, but if Poppy is there, can't stop the Charm and get into the backline should they choose a fight.
Show just kept the top laner out of that fight for the last 30 seconds. They'll get the Herald charge off as well. Mid lane turret falls, mid lane tier 2 now down to 20% HP.
And taking 50% of his HP while he's at it, which means that this Adwani, if he walks forwards, he's almost dead.
Crownie had to cleanse, the culling comes through, but it is stunned out of Rika. Gonna stand forward with the crown now, breaking, but they get 2 towers in mid lane.
When you push in very heavily with the Herald, sometimes you end up kind of artificially flanking yourself, right? You push beyond your wards, you push into the enemy territory, and they can wrap around you. BDS Academy, they have an answer to that. They have Shiro on one flank. They make sure Aibo can't get that angle from that side. Adam's on the other, making sure that Blue Resort also can't find an angle, especially since the Poppy is on the other side of the fight. Heretics, they kind of checked it every turn there. They're really struggling to find these engages, which their team composition needs.
The funny thing about this BDSA comp is if you look at like the likes of Victor, the Caitlyn, the Karma, between them, they don't have necessarily any hard CC to try and dissuade the fight, lock people down. It's all about the poke. But when Shio gets this flange, when Adam is threatening with these Mega Gnars, it becomes much more threatening. And when you've pushed Heretics underneath the tower, the amount of poke that comes through with the Victor and the Caitlyn, this is why Heretics could not walk up.
And the other thing they do to engage is while they don't hard disengage, they will slow you down. They'll make sure that the fight isn't as easy. And the more time you have to stand there in a Chaos Storm, in a even an empowered Karma Q or something like that, particularly at early levels, Caitlyn's starting to put down damage as well, the harder it gets. You need to end the fight very, very quickly.
He's toying with them again.
And Adam is, he's found himself a new source of entertainment, which is people watching in the Tribe Rush. They were on a ward.
He's actually walking into them.
The rest of them, BDS are coming down with multiple members. Heretics have to dissuade this potential engage, but an Ardent Blaze and a swift retreat gets Heretics out of danger.
Honestly, he's one of the better top laners that I've seen that absorbs all of this attention from his opponents, whilst also toying with them at the same time. He was able to blow Sejuani ult together with Ahri Charm. Right there, he was keeping 3 people busy.
Oh, great flash, keeps him out of safety. Zvero trades that one with Crownie.
That's checking if his hands are on the keyboard. Yes, they are. Crownie does have to blow the flash, does have to blow the crit.
I think it's mandatory.
And I think at that one, it's that one, you very much needed them in the right place. But Zvero and Heretics, this is more of what we've seen from them in this tournament, trying to make these aggressive early plays. But as we said, BDS Academy, they have trained against this. They have been successful against the style of play, and they're not giving easy picks over to Heretics.
Now, that's one champion you can have your eyes on, for example, at this point. Crowny will not have his flash available in 2 minutes' time when BDSA will walk into River, potentially get a soul point for themselves. But Zvero will have his ultimate backup and available. Bluerzor does have his flash to reach the backline. So if you can eliminate the Caitlyn, you're taking one threat off of BDSA.
Big flash down. Jack Spectra takes a big chunk from the ace in the hole, though. It's been used as poke pretty much the entire damn game.
Say, there's probably like multiple decks. They've only got like 4 aces in the whole one.
All right.
It's going to be so many ultimates.
Twisted Face one with the stack deck. That's a different champion, I think, mate.
We're headed to Bilgewater, but Crowny, yeah, very happy to just put all of this damage into the champion without the sustain, the Lucian, which needs to be brawling. And if Heretics don't have the opportunity to brawl, this composition does not function. They haven't got the early leads. They haven't found those angles. At BDS Academy, they are very happy with the way this game is going.
It feels much more like a BDSA game, with the exception perhaps of some solo kills in top lane from Adam, but otherwise it's a lot more controlled. The leads are where they want them to be. Even if it's not a massive one right now, it is still more than enough to be in command of this game significantly in a way that's just not been true for most of this series.
Now, we've always been praising LFL for the team fights in their front to back, the way they can find angles to play the team fights in different ways. But Heretics have been down 3,000 gold since minute 13, and that gold lead has not been developed by BDSA. It's always been the same. So Heretics have been able to claw back as the game keeps going on, and if anything, we have praised them multiple times throughout their best of fives and quarterfinals and semis, because they had to play 2 teams that were best at team fighting, Unicorns of Love and LBOC.
Resilience has been one of the bywords for this squad. They'll have to show it in this one. 3 seconds until soul point for BDSA and Infernal Soul, no less. Chunk onto Adam, but not hugely damaging right now. Potential flank from Zvero on the top side, however.
You do have 2 items spike onto Lucian. Plus
Here we go!
Zvero!
Charm still held. Zvero flashing away. Crowny has to cleanse out of the Glacial Prison. Over the wall goes Blue Resort Tidal Wave onto Adam. No one is dead, however. Ace in the hole chugs Zvero out, and that's a big one.
Yeah, they just can't kill someone in the first part of the fight. Sheo still has flash, still has ult. They're on the dragon. Expect that Heretics back off from this. No easy way to contest.
So many ultimates burned, and that might be a detriment for Heretics. They still want to fight. They still want to be here. Blue Resort at half HP, wants to stick around those death rays. So dangerous. Big mantra inspire there. The shield keeping everybody healthy. Dragon down to 4,000 HP. Sheo.
So much ability. That's going to be the ult charge.
Throws out the ultimate. Sheo gets taken low. Does secure the dragon, however. Will not quite burn out to the ignite till just now. It's a 1 for none, but the soul point is secured.
I wonder if there's actually an outside angle of trying to just get control around Baron, especially with the smite down, but they don't have the damage to take it. Heretics get a kill, but they lose the objective.
Also, you need to be very careful because Karma is around, Nar is around, Adam still has his ult up and available, and the HP bars are quite low on the side of Heretics. So BDSA went into this river with an objective in mind. That objective was that soul point, but Heretics are pulling the trigger for something that could be a very 50-50. Zvero is going to TP in. Adam also has that TP. He's going to come in. That is a 4 versus 5.
They're on to Crowny. Nowhere to go. Cataclysm afterwards. Modernity falls. Crowny survives. Ace in the hole. Chunks whiting out. Flash from Rika with the siphon power. He gets hit with a permafrost, but doesn't die until Zvero gets the back end of it. Still, though, it's Crowny free, firing. 1 final ultimate charge remaining. Bone Meringue doesn't quite claim his life.
Now this is an angle for Baron because your Caitlyn survives. Sheo is just back up on the map, and Adam is still holding on to Megana, which means whoever comes anywhere near this wall is going to get instantly destroyed by Adam. Really well played from BDSA to get back up on the map. They sacrificed their support, but Rika was able to put so much damage down in this fight.
And this is a real testament to the position that BDS Academy put Heretics in, because they had to go around that Baron. They had to try and play some kind of bait. There is no other option for them, no easy one anyway, because they're sat here after this dragon going, well, they're going to just wait until that next dragon. We don't really want them to have that soul for free. They killed the smite. May as well try something around that Baron. But I think they overstayed a little too much, right? They got the teleports out. I think after that point, you just say, right, maybe not much more we can do about that. But ever the high rollers are attempting to. Heretics, they go for so much more. They lose out on the play.
And it's just so important for Heretics in general to have their ultimates up and available. There was a tidal wave, Sphero on the Ari. It's so difficult to play these fights and get deep to try and get their resets and the kills without your ultimate up and available. And even though, yes, he does manage to do a bunch of damage, the fact that Crowny survives, you know 100% they're going to go to hit onto the Baron, especially since Shell just survived and go back on the map.
Glacial Prison lands, but Adam will play Bouncer, prevents any easy egress onto the target that was locked away by Nami.
Close run stuff. Adam, very important that his presence was there. Ibo, once again, even in a difficult game for Heretics, having a strong game on the Sejuani, finding out Crowny time and time again, but even with that, Crowny only died the once, only died around that Baron fight. BDS Academy, though they've had shots fired at them, still holding their discipline.
Show might be 0-1-1, but this Poppy has been so frustrating.
Really quickly, look on the map. There's 3 lanes pressuring for the side of BDSA. That top bot lane is going to pressure really slow as well. And Heretics are going to have to make a choice. How many towers do you lose? Which lane do you defend? Do you try to find and engage the fight? Because that Sejuani ultimate is down and Adam can just hop away.
The slow with the flail, but can't secure anything like a permafrost to hold him in place. And with Mega Gnar coming up, hard to continue that chase. Instead, they'll push him away, but that tower is down very much in the favor of BDSA, who are about 5,000 gold in the lead now.
Last game, it was a hero Baron play. Baron steal from Heretics that saw them into the position they could win the game from. Reminder that if that Baron steal doesn't happen, Heretics are probably 1-1 at this point. Well, we are. I'm sure if you are as an LVP fan, loading up on the Hopium, as you should. 2-0 up is a strong result. They need something similar of a hero play to get them back into this one.
Now, as the Dragon is being set up, we can also chat a little bit about items, because Frozen Heart has been bought again from Ibo. Right here, it doesn't necessarily have the impact you want to. Brown is playing from super far away onto this Caitlyn. He's gone for a blow-up build as well. He's not playing any attack speed. Yes, it's useful against Gnar, but it's kind of meh because it doesn't impact anyone else on the side of BDSA. Whilst if you look over on Sheo, he's got that Warmogs, which means all the poke that's going to come in from a Lucian, from an Ari, he's going to heal it back up. Talking about the items, 40 seconds until the Dragon. All the vision has been set up from BDSA, and they're trying to stop the choke points between them and Heretics from advancing.
At least Jack Spectre has got the Infinity Edge in time for this fight. It's looking like a final stand here. This goes wrong. Game's all but over. Sheo chunked out to begin with. Blue Resort will tank up, hits the hole, but Blue Resort knocked into the wall. Tidal Wave in response, doesn't land it. Adam has to go into the stopwatch, but he's chunked out. He's going to go down. Massive chunk back onto Sphero, who does not have the teleport for 5 seconds, but can reset.
Okay, so that's 1 kill, but that's a fair amount used from Heretics. You don't have Sejuani ult now, you don't have your bot lanes ult, and of course there's Heretics. Oh my gosh.
Tries to get onto Blue Resort, who's forced back. Your jungle is gone, and they can move back to the river even with the man down.
Okay, so Crowny goes in, uses the Gale Force, gets rid of the smite, but Heretics around to fight still.
Want to try and go for it. There's the teleport. They're going straight in onto this. Sheo, very healthy, does still have the Keeper's verdict over the wall as Blue Resort off. Vision critically, he can trade his life for this. Chaos Storm available, watch for it, there's the gravity field, goes in, does not secure the Dragon, Rika's Victor gets it instead, Infernal Soul is in, and it's burning them all down, Heretics at the stake, as BDSA wipe the fight.
Oh, Jack Spectre, just another one on the chopping block. Sphero taken down by the Krugs. BDS Academy looking to put themselves on the board.
And with all of these timers, also Adam, TP down bot lane. He's trying to shove in that wave, potentially take the last outer tower remaining for the side of Heretics. And you see how the game has been completely broken open by BDSA. 8,000 gold in the lead right now. They've gotten that Infernal Soul, which with a Caitlyn headshot, for example, it's gonna hurt so much. You've got so many squishy members. Even the Jarvan right now is very susceptible to dying if he gets hit by 1 or 2 headshots together with the soul from the Infernal Dragon. And Adam indeed is going to take the last outer tower remaining. And with only 1 minute left on the Baron, BDSA are going to leverage their soul to fight.
I'm looking at Rika's Victor. I think 1 death ray hits. That's effectively fight over for someone on Heretics. This is before the soul gets even taken. As soon as it's on, you look at the rest of Heretics and you go, well, you got no place fighting at this point. At least Heretics managed to skirmish a little bit after this point, but that damage is disgusting.
Rika secured that Dragon at 3 HP.
It could have been 1. It's still a dub.
That is about as close to the wire as it gets. Adam survived a gank early on, 4 HP. Rika ones up him. Literally, with the 3 HP Dragon secure.
Really importantly though, Blurzo did have to blow his flash for this play, so now he doesn't have the means to reach the backline, to reach Crowny, who has his Gale Force, but no flash available for him. And this was usually the follow-up together with Zverev. You get a good cataclysm, you allow the Ari to jump in, potentially get a kill through there, get resets, snowball the fight. But right here it becomes really difficult since Blurzo will not be able to reach.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of what you mentioned there is the ideal situation for Heretics. We haven't seen that this game. They haven't had clean engages, and while they've managed to pick up some kills here and there, they are now in a position where one skill shot hits, one ace in the hole hits, and you can see it's so difficult for Heretics to fight from the HP disadvantage.
Red buff secured by Adam there, knocks it off Jack Spectre. Would have loved to have that. Adam edging towards a Mega Gnar as well. Was debating a hop over the wall. We'll decide against it for now. Baron is secured. Here goes Blurzo. It's on to Rika. Cannot secure the kill. Ibo to the side. Does get the prediction, but cannot secure the kill. Shell finds the keeper's money. Goes to choose Pharaoh. Taken so damn low. Adam looking for the Mega Gnar. Ibo running away, but he's running absolutely nowhere. He finds himself 6 foot deep.
They're running to nowhere. They've run out of time. That Infernal Soul, it is all the more punishing for Heretics if they miss the engage. Fight is lost, Baron is lost, probably game is lost.
That was your 2 tanks. Blurzo and Eyeball on Javan and Sejuani, dove in, instantly died with 3 hits.
That's not a tank now, that's like a milk truck.
No point crying over spilt milk. This game's looking a little bit all but done. So difficult for Heretics to play this one out. Still going to close it out of BDSA. But they've got so much to work with at this point.
Should have aimed for the head, but BDS Academy are inevitable. Could have been the 3-0, could have been the oh-so-quick finish for Heretics, but looking at this, look how quickly this guy just is. It evaporates.
And this is why also the pop is so disgusting into the Javan, because Blurzo finds a cataclysm onto Rika, and Sheo stuns him on the own wall that he created himself, and then he just pops out of existence. And again, this Javan has not come into fruition, didn't find that early game success that we know Javans to find, especially if he played as aggressive as Blurzo does, and he had a fantastic game with his Javan in the semifinals to get him into these finals, but into a Poppy, it really does suffer.
Charm onto Cheryl, but then, that last fight, they landed the Cataclysm onto Rika. He flashed, he got hit by a Glacial Prison and ended up on, 3/4 of his HP. They could not put any damage onto him. And now, with a minion wave in there, Jack Spectre taken down just so easily to 1/3 HP. Heretics running out of options and they aren't already out of them.
You have to pull the trigger. Your towers are gone.
Just like that, they're going in. Blue Resort knocks into the wall again. Glacial Prison into the tidal wave. Can they kill Rika? There's just not enough damage. The culling is not enough. BDSA will not go quietly into the night. The Heretics' dreams of a 3-0 are quickly put to the sword. The LFL are here to play, and they will find a game back in this series.
And when BDSA are awake, they can take down any team. They were just testing the meta in the first 2 games, and now they're back to play. And honestly, I'm really happy.